Hey, what's up, peoples? What's happening? Happy Sunday. I pray you guys been having a great weekend. Just enjoying this beautiful Southern California weather. For all of you that are here in Southern California, it's probably about a good 98 degrees out here in the San Gabriel Valley, man. It feels beautiful though. We got a little breeze. Everything's looking good. Man, I'm just been having a great week, man. That Labor Day, just spent it with some family. And man, just a good work week. And then the weekend's just been bomb, bro. Especially my Steelers won today. Yeah, let's give it up for my Steelers, right? Man, it's just been an exciting, last couple of weeks, man, with couple tragedies that have hit my family. I want to thank all of you that have been praying for myself, my wife, and all my family. We just lost my mother-in-law 2 weeks ago, and it's man, it's never easy losing a loved one, especially after we just lost my father-in-law too. It's coming up on 2 years on the 11th, September 11th, going to be 2 years that we lost my father-in-law. Now we lost my mother-in-law. So, my family's taking a real blow, but you know what? By the grace of God and by his strength within us, we'll get through it. And just want to thank all of you that have been texting and reaching out and just stopping by or whatnot, man. We appreciate you guys. We love you. And just continue to keep us in prayer as we, prepare for the funeral. And man, just thank you guys. Thank you guys. Can't thank you guys enough, right? So, anyways, we're going to jump right into today's podcast, man. I got this awesome brother that, I don't know his story too deep yet, man, but by his TikTok, man, and social media, man, this brother's on fire. He loves the Lord. And not only that though, man, but he loves helping people. When I say people, I'm talking about inmates. This brother's been working with the inmate population for quite a few years. And man, it's not an easy job, going in, day out and trying to give these brothers some hope, some inspiration, teaching them some ways to break that cycle of incarceration. But this brother's been doing it, man, as for long as he has. That's a good thing, because a lot of providers that go in there, they don't last too long, so when you get someone that has lasted as long as he has, man, that's some great props right there, man, for being able to do what he does. And without further ado, man, let me bring Christsider onto the platform. Let me see. All right, hold on. Here we are. Let me see. Why can't I bring? Oh shoot. Okay, hold on. All right, there we are, brother. Can you hear me?
What's happening, brother? What's up, Jojo?
Man, brother, man, I am so blessed to make this happen, bro. I know you're a busy man. I know you're always on the go. I know you're doing big things, up there in the Central Valley, man. And I was just telling my guests, I don't know if you heard my little intro. Were you able to hear it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, man, like I was telling them, man, man, big props, bro, for doing what you do, within the streets and in the prison system, man, because it takes a lot of work to deal with them, them type of folks, man. And I'm gonna let you jump in your story, brother, but why don't you go ahead and take us back, to the younger years and we'll just run your story up, bro.
All right. Well, let's
Yeah,
go
brother,
ahead.
go
We'll,
ahead.
we'll, we'll, we'll get started in well, a little bit about me, man. Real quick. First thing, I want to be able to express or tell why, I got Christ side behind me, but there's just that logo stayed with me, and we'll get more into that. But there's a reason why I adopted that. But let's go ahead and start, man. I was born in Torrance. We lived in Compton, and I was born in Torrance in 1967, and I was the youngest of five siblings. The youngest of five siblings, and man, we had a pretty good upbringing in the early years in our childhood, man. Um, well, my childhood anyway. And what I mean by a pretty good upbringing is we had both parents in the house. We had my jefa, we had my jefito, and my dad was a good worker, man. I mean, his work ethics were on it. My jefa, she took care of us, man, and as I grew up, she began also to work. They worked in Gardena, man. They worked at a airplane where they make airplane parts, and they
Yeah.
done well. We lived pretty good, And throughout the years, as I continue to grow up, man, we were just always back and forth. I remember growing up as a kid, we were always back and forth. My dad was an entertainer. That's one thing about Pops growing up that I remember about him, and I know my siblings remember about him, is that he liked entertaining, man. He liked having familia at the house. He liked having friends at the house, and he was just always entertaining. So we were always going to San Diego, where my mom's family was from. Most of her family was from there, and then his family was from Arizona. So we were always going back and forth, man, traveling, visiting, but it was always partying, always entertaining, always, enjoying family, friends, whatever the case may be. And that was kind of like my upbringing, man. It was a solid upbringing. I was there just, it's a trip when you're growing up and you got both parents in the house, especially if you experience a point in your life where you only had one parent. Well, that went on, brother. That went on for so many years, and I think about that was about age 7. I could remember up to that point, and after that, after we continue to go on, man, and living our life, that was just a crazy event that happened that kind of shook me to the core, being around 7 or 8 years old, and it was my carnal, my older brother Butcher, man. I have 2 brothers and I have 2 sisters. My older brother Butcher, man, he Pelon, he passed away. But anyway, an event occurred to where this is where the beginning of it all. He ended up going out, and I think he told me, my jefita, that he was going to the movies. He told moms that he was going to the movies, man, right there in the city of Compton. Uh, and next thing you know, throughout that evening, I'm just right there. I'm watching TV. I'm just a kid, man, and she's in the pad, and the phone rings, and it was them old phones that hung on the wall, and she answered the phone, and I remember turning around. I remember hearing her voice, distinct, distinct. It was a distinct memory. And whoever was calling her on the other side of that phone, be it the sheriffs at that time, or be it Compton PD, or be it the hospital, they had just told her, they had just communicated to her that her son had just been shot, man. And that was my older brother Butcher. So she was in pain. I just turned around and I saw her, and I saw her just in anguish, dropped the phone, just in anguish. And she, I wouldn't know. I couldn't say that I would know what that feels like, but from my eyes, she was just in an extreme sense of pain, man. So I remember that. That was like something that stood out to me. And as time went on, she didn't know at that time. Uh, she didn't know at that time what the outcome was. She just knew that he had been shot, and I know that she took us all, all the kids, the family, well, to the hospital. And we were there, man, and slowly but surely, man, the news started coming out from the doctors that he was shot, man. The outcome, I don't think, was just given just then, but the outcome ended up being that he ended up getting paralyzed, man, from the waist down. It hit his spinal cord. The bullet went through the front, missed his heart, but it hit his spinal cord, and it ended up paralyzing him from the waist down. Now, keep in mind, Jojo, keep in mind, brother, back then they didn't have all the machines that they have today. That if a bullet gets lodged in you, if it ricochets off a bone or something, and if it gets lodged, more than likely, a lot of times, if they can't find it, rather than tear you all apart, it's kind of gonna sit there, man.
Yeah.
That was the case. He ended up getting paralyzed. He was 17 years old, man. 17 years old. He was into Bruce Lee at the time. And the movie that he went to go see was a Bruce Lee movie. He was supposed to go
Mm.
see. He ended up in a rival hood at a party right there in the city of Compton. And something occurred to the degree that a fight broke out. And then, shots rang. Wrong place, wrong time. It happened. So he ended up paralyzed from the waist down at the age of 17. Prior to that, he was already getting locked up, man, going to camps and stuff. I remember from such a young age, man, going to see him. And, his nickname was Butcher, man. Everybody knew him from my hood, man. But I tell you that name because as we go on, you'll see why, he lived it out, just the nickname itself. But anyway, he ends up paralyzed. He comes home, and as time goes on, we're just living life, man. And I think where everything began to evolve, man, as far as the house that I lived in me and my siblings. Well, not me so much because I'm the youngest one. I'm the youngest of all of them. So as he came home and weeks went on and months went on, my assumption is from a young age and my observation is that my jefa, my jefito, made a decision to say, you know what, rather than have him going out there and kicking it out there in the calles or at other pads or with homies in the calles, they let him party at the pad and bring a few of the fellas to the pad. So little by little, they would congregate there, man. They would come there weekends. My jefito would kick it with them. One of them pictures that I sent you, where you see there's some Chicanos, there's some black brothers. Well, that's the early that's the 70s right there. So that was an era where they started to come, and visit my carnal. My dad was in that picture. He's partying with them. He just letting them kick it. Well, it kind of backfired in a sense, that decision, because as you've seen in that picture, man, they begin to congregate and the crowd just begin to grow larger and larger as the months and the years went by. Yeah. And before you know it, my pad was kind of distinct in a way that it was our house. We lived off of the city of Compton. We lived off Long Beach Boulevard and Arlington Street, man. Right across the street, there used to be a swap meet, Compton swap meet right there across the street. And then we live behind the Segunda across the street. So it's our pad and there's an alley right next to it. So we had all that room right next to our pad. So when everybody used to come up, they used to just pull up in the alley, man. You could park cars in there. It was a pretty big size alley. And then there was a business across. And then if you go a couple of doors down across the alley, there's a bar. There's a back door to a bar, man. That was just right there. You could always hear rancheras jamming or just music jamming all the time coming from that bar. And throughout the years, they begin to congregate. So before you know it, my siblings, man, I got an older sister. They called her Baby. I got a carnal. He's known as Little Butcher, man. And, man, the same thing. He lived it out. His nickname, he lived it to the fullest. And then my other carnala that was right above me, her name was China. They all acclimated to what was there, what was evolving right there at the pad. And before you know it, as people continue to congregate there by the numbers, before you know it, all the surrounding hoods from Compton that were our enemies, they begin to target the pad.
So hey, brother, and let me ask you something. During this time, how old were you again? Because
right there, I'm probably going up to nine years old now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I remember you said 8 years old. Now you're like 9 years old, and you're just witnessing all these fellas and all these homegirls just becoming family, pretty much, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. They're pulling up, and now there's carloads, and they're just congregating. And the trip about it is like usually when you congregate, man, there's some cliques that kick it over here. There's a clique because you got different cliques in your hood, right?
Yeah.
But for our hood, congregating there, they nicknamed it the Alamo because you know what the Alamo
Yeah.
represents. If you ever study that era where the Alamo was, there was a lot of bloodshed, bullets rippled through the buildings. So they nicknamed it the Alamo. But it just began to evolve and get more intense and more intense in terms. Hey, the 70s, I'm gonna say this, man. Throughout that era, them eras, it was everybody was outside. Bro. There was groves. You could go to any given hood and they'd be outside. I'm talking about congregated, bro. Just in groves. And that was that era, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, I kind of heard your story too, man. You know what I mean? There was people outside, right? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what ended up happening, this is where it even intensified even more, is Christmas had come up. It was a Christmas day, a Christmas night. And my mom and my dad, my Jefito and Jefita decided to go out. They went out. They said, we're going to go out. We'll be back. Da, 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 da. And my older Carnala and my older brother, I mean, they just invited everybody. I mean, there was, I don't know how many different cliques, but there was homies from everywhere. I mean, from our hood, but from all the different cliques, it was packed. It was Christmas, so there was food, there was tamales, there was people coming in, there was people coming out, music blaring, people the alley was packed, the front yard was packed. The thing about that alley, Jojo, is on the Arlington side, on the street that I lived on, you could come in from that side, and that's where everybody would more than likely come in at. But it also curved around. Like it had a curve because there was a building. Like if you come in, then there's a building that stops. But if you drive around it, you could go out on the other street, which was fine. And so it's packed. It's Christmas, homies everywhere, homegirls everywhere. I mean, deep. And I'm just a kid, man. I'm in the room. They try to, always shelter me, man. Always try to, hey, man, stay in the room, watch TV. And I don't know, man. I was probably watching reruns of Scooby-Doo or something. I don't know, brother, but I was watching TV. And next thing you know, I didn't even really hear everything that went on. But next thing you know, gunshots ring out. Mm. And what had happened is the rival of audio came from the pine from that side, and they came around the way, and they shot from that backside into the crowd. Mm. And I had a younger homeboy, man. His name was Bobby Diablo. He ended up passing away at 17 that night. I had a homeboy, Casper, man, youngster, Scotty's little brother. He was like 13 years old, 14 years old, brother. He couldn't be no older than that. And then he passed away. And then my older homeboy, John Wayne, he ended up he didn't pass away. He ended up just getting wounded. So John Wayne got wounded, and two of my homeboys died that night. So when all the confusion, everybody started kind of ducking, running for cover, and getting their guns and shooting back, right? Mm-hmm. But Diablo, he ended up running into the pad, man. Bobby Gill ended up running into the pad, and he collapsed on our living room floor. Mm-hmm. And I was just a kid, man. And what ended up happening is someone called the cops. There was a lot of neighbors that were always complaining about us. And they called the cops. And I'm assuming once the Huras got there, that's when I was still in the room. So once the sheriffs and everybody got there, the ambulance, everybody got there. Well, they're emptying the house. They're emptying the pad. So they find me in the room. They're like, hey, you got to come out. They're taking they're emptying the pad. They're trying to find, who's who and what's what. And I'm just a kid. So when they pulled me out, I came out of the room, I'm walking through the living room, walking out the front door, and I see him right there, man. And I just see him laid out, rest in peace, man. Diablo, man, straight up. Bobby Gill, man. He had a few carnales from my hood too, and that was the first time at that age that I witnessed, death for the first time. And I didn't really take heed to it. I didn't really look at it probably to the degree that I should have looked at it as a kid. But I just kind of walked out the pad, man, at that point, and just waited until my older siblings were right there. That everybody, they were watching out for me, but still, I'm not knowing what's going on. I'm just kind of in a state of confusion. I'm just a young kid, digesting all this stuff. There's homies, cars still parked out there. There's hudas, and they're trying to talk to people, and homies left, and a lot of people jammed. They booked it, but that kind of was also like the beginning of a cold era at the pad, man, because as time went on, probably within the next few months or so, my dad ended up jamming, man. He ended up taking off to another state. He left my jefa, and he ended up in the let me back the tape up real quick, man. I just got to back this up and say this, man, so that we know kind of the full picture. I remember having a conversation with my jefa while she was alive, and she's a big part of who I am today in terms of the faith. She prayed for me. She cried for me. Tears of intercession. She stayed up nights for all of us, for all her kids, man. But we had a mature conversation one time, and she wanted to let me know the extent of God's call on my life. And she said this to me. She was transparent. She goes, I was in a bad place. I was in a painful place, man, when I birthed you. She said, I was in a painful place, brother. She said, her and my dad, they were already having them types of issues, man, of him going out with women and stuff. But he was he just had that issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was a kid. I didn't know the difference. But she told me she was in a painful place at that time, and she considered aborting me. And she goes, I'm just gonna tell you because I know that you could handle that now. I know that where you're at in the Lord, or where you're at in your change, that it's something that I could be transparent about, because the enemy wanted you from the gate. She goes, I had you in a painful place, man. It wasn't easy to have you.
Wow.
Because she was already considering, she didn't want to either go further, with the relationship. But moms kept trying, she kept trying, they kept trying. And anyway, so that ended up happening. And after that, everything just kept intensifying at the pad. This shirt right here that I'm wearing, see what it says? It says Hub City, Compton. So this house right here that I got on the shirt, check this out, Jojo. My carnala made this a few days ago, prior to you even hitting me up. And she goes, hey, she goes, what size shirts you guys want? I'm gonna make this. This is, that's a pad we grew up in. That's a pad that man, that's where all our memories are. And usually when she comes down to visit, we'll either do all Dodgers uniforms, or we'll take pictures, all the siblings. So she made us these, not knowing, hey, I was going to be telling a story, right? I got it yesterday, bro.
Okay.
She gave it to me, and I got it yesterday. I go, how appropriate, because this pad at that time, as things intensified, we would always have detectives coming to the pad, gang detectives, and in front of this pad, back then, as a kid, you would think like your house is real big, right? But as you
Yeah.
grew up and you go visit it as an adult, you're like, man, this this house ain't very big at all. So what it was is they used to come and they used to put circles around the bullet holes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would go in the pad and then they would go to the next wall. And then they would look at the bullet hole because they're trying to trace, right?
Yeah.
From what
Yep.
angle or whatever they're trying to trace is what they're trying to
Mhm.
trace. And it was just a constant. It was just a constant. My carnal took a picture the other day and he posted it on Facebook. And right here, there's a big hole. And he goes, "If you know, you know." Right? He put it on the portrait, and we were always there was always just artillery out there. A car parked in the front, you couldn't see it because the car was parked on the grass, but there was always readily available artillery. And what happened was a rifle, fell, high powered rifle fell, pop, and blew a big old piece of chunk of the cement out. But imagine if
Oh
someone
wow.
was in the in the way. But
Yeah.
this is the whole thing in a nutshell. Death was always present, Jojo.
Mm. Yeah, it
Death was
sounds
always
like it.
Yeah, death was always present at that time. Growing up, uh, it was always a constant. Hey, hit the lights. You know what I mean? You know they're shooting at the pad. Hit the lights. Everybody hit the floor. My heifer, everybody, and
Yeah.
that's how we lived for some time. Not all the time, but when we were just at the pad kicking it. But
Yeah.
usually there was gente out there. But I'm talking about like at night when everybody's gone or they're elsewhere. They're in the alley. It's like hit the lights, man, and duck for cover. But
Wow.
then were all the years, man, that I remember the different cliques that would come. We had the tinies, we had the cut down specifically. There was a cage in that alley, and they would get in that alley, man, and they would the cut downs against the tinies, man, the older vatos against the younger homies, and they would lock it up in this big cage, man. It was
Yeah.
like tall, right? It was a tall cage,
Hmm.
chain link, and they would shut that door, and no one was getting out that cage, but they would all throw down right there.
That's
It was just
crazy.
anything that had to do with building up the hood or
Yeah,
building camaraderie in the barrio,
that's
if you know what
crazy.
I'm
Hey,
saying.
brother, when I'm thinking of your story so far, what you've shared is that living in that type of environment, man, people that never been through that lifestyle, they wouldn't understand how you become conditioned to that ducking and listening. And, I know in my neighborhood, we were conditioned to the dogs barking. The dogs were our warning. You know what I mean? People don't
Mhm, mhm.
understand that. Them dogs barked. We knew somebody was on our street. And I remember when we started getting spotlights, the ones that would turn on with sensor lights. And I
Absolutely.
remember the safety light would turn on and it was already, 1 o'clock in the morning or something. I was already drawing out my window, bro, because I already knew they're trying to creep up on me. And hearing your story, man, and you know what's crazy is that with everything you were talking about, turning off the lights and ducking and all that stuff grabs more people's wanting to be there though. Isn't that crazy how you would think
Absolutely.
people would be afraid to man, don't go over there by that house because that house is always getting shot up. There's always people there doing what they shouldn't be doing. But yet more and more people probably came over the years. That's crazy the way that works, right?
No, absolutely. Especially when your house is a target because realistically, we had a lot of homies. We had blocks, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of homies that lived in
Mm-hmm.
our hood,
Yeah.
but yet we had homies that were from East Side La Mirada Tres, Compton Barrio Tres, but East Side. We had homies that lived elsewhere, other cities, but they would come to congregate there.
Yeah.
So all the and there's hoods that surround it. There's a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
hoods that surround it. That
Yeah.
was that was the target. If you want to go and shoot at the tres, or
Yeah. And during
you know,
that time, during the 70s, man, that's when I mean, gangs been around a lot longer than the 70s, but during the 70s or 80s, that's when it was just
absolutely,
multiplying by number. That's when neighborhoods were forming and wanting to earn their name, wanting to be the bigger clique in that neighborhood. So everyone was trying to put in shoot as much work as possible to gain that reputation.
absolutely. I think that sometimes people don't understand, Jojo. that when you grow up in that type of house, brother, or that type
Mhm.
of environment, when you grow up specifically in that type of house, like my other carnal, Little Butcher, he I watched him. I
Mhm.
watched him and I watched him acclimate into the person that he became in terms of the barrio, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't understand that what's in your mind is that you got to be crazier at that pad than the vatos who come and visit that pad.
Yeah.
Something tells your mind, something trains your mind that because you live in that pad, because you live in the barrio, or you live in the Alamo, you grew up
Mhm.
right there. Something uh, uh, clicks in your mind and tells you, you know what, you got to start doing stuff that's crazier than the vatos who are coming to visit here because you're known to live here
Mhm.
in this
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
the Alvarados, right?
Yeah. You got to
And,
represent.
yeah, you got to represent, and your mind trains you to do that.
Yeah.
So just watching him and it's kind of like a lot of times you don't recognize. I remember one time me and my carnal had a conversation and he said this to me, and this was after he became a dad and he had kids and he had purpose, man, right?
Mhm.
And he goes, you know what? He goes, I ain't never talked to nobody about this, and it was profound, brother. I learned something from it because I looked at that and I said, man, I talked to the fellas behind the walls about this, and this word fear, man, this word fear, the type of fear that I think he was expressing was the fear of ever not living up to the name or to the person that you were intended to be in the barrio. Someone making you feel less in or whatever. Them were fears that my brother grew up with that
Yeah.
made him an extremist in everything he done. Brother. When he
Yeah.
got in a fight, he would leave Vato's like lifeless. Like until
Mhm.
he was like lifeless, like just limp on the floor. He was just an extremist.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes that type of fear, it ain't that you don't have no fear. It's just that you're walking around, you're always protecting your image, you're always protecting your name. And even probably in the prison yard, you're probably always still that fear of someone, making you feel less than or whatever the case may be. So it's
Yeah.
that type of fear. You ever heard of that? You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we put higher expectations on ourselves, especially, when we give ourselves these crazy nicknames or the homies give us these nicknames, we go to the extreme to fulfill that identity. You know what I mean? That's like when you got these homies killer and psycho and hey, them fools are usually the craziest ones in the neighborhood because they trying to live out their name. They're trying to live up to that character. I mean, how you gonna be called psycho if you're always ranking out and being a
yeah,
chump? You know what I mean?
yeah.
It ain't gonna
So
work.
so that is what evolved my carnala. Both of my carnalas married into the tres. I mean, it was just commitment. It was
Yeah.
just commitment, bro. And all of them
Yeah.
had a piece of the gang violence and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So as time went on, I ended up, as the years went on, I ended up, it went kind of fast because I kept gravitating more and more to the barrio, more and more to the youngsters, more and more to the homies my age. And what ended up happening is at the age of 15, at an early age, man. Uh, Prior to that, let me back up. Prior to that, my older carnala, ended up jamming. Man, she moved up north.
Mhm.
She was she was done with it. And I could understand it because there was just a high intensity of it. I know a lot of people that could say a lot of things, but this is what I always say, brother. Anybody could say what they want, but they did never live the life of seeing my heifer dodging bullets or having
Yeah.
see her son die or go to the floor, when they're targeting the pad. So them were more intent.
Yeah.
But my carnala jammed, and what happened is my jefa and them try to always they would always try to keep me out of trouble. So she would always try to send me up north to Central Cali to to
Mhm.
uh to Visa to Visalia.
Mhm.
The only problem was is every time I would go up there, they would say she lived in a place called Sin City, man, and it was
Mm.
like a low income, like in a project in a sense.
Yeah.
So they were sending me to a place that although she was good, she was serving the Lord. She was going to Victory Outreach at the time. It had just launched out over here, and she knew the pastors and everybody. But the element that lived around that, I was, I was always gravitating to. It
Mm.
didn't matter if I wasn't from there. It didn't matter, none of that. And at that time, it was still early. All the North and South stuff hadn't kicked off yet. So
Hmm.
I'm meeting vatos from Visalia, kicking it from them. I mean, kicking it with them, and we would go and commit crimes and get high and all this. And then I went back to Compton. I'd burn it out, send me back to Compton. You know, I do that to myself.
Yeah.
So at the age of 15, I'm in Compton. At the age of 15, I get introduced for the first time to heroin, man.
Mm.
Mainline. And mind you, I'm still around a lot of my homies, a lot of younger homies, man,
Yeah.
that don't use. We always said we're not gonna use heroin.
Hmm.
You know what they say never, right?
Yeah.
But for the first time, man, I was introduced to heroin, and I remember mainlining. I got sick, man. That's what's crazy. That's what's ironic about the whole thing is I ended up using, getting introduced to it. I got sick. It got me sick. I was throwing up. I was, man, but that's what's crazy about how we were wired. I ended up liking it even more, and I ended up getting strung out, and that was just like the beginning of another era or another level of pain that I was getting introduced to, man. But because before you know it, um, I was chasing it. I wanted to get locote. I wanted, in between the gang stuff and in between kicking it, I'm ducking in and out, and I'm trying to get locote. I'm trying to get high. Next thing you know, I start to feel the sting of being malias or being sick.
Mm.
And man, that was my worst nightmare. So from that point on, all my gang traits, all my criminal mindset, everything that I used to get that droga, I ended up using to fuel it, to go and get that drug. Well, before you know it, I'm burning the spot out once again, man. I'm still young. My mom's sending me to up north. I'm just traveling, brother. As a kid, I always traveled because I was the youngest sibling, and because they always try to take care of me or lead me the right way or send me somewhere else. They had me going to Arizona. They had me going up north. They had me just going with aunts, uncles. I mean, but because I was so damaged already, my 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 core, all the corridors of my mind, everything, it was just gone. It was damaged, not gone like I was crazy, but I had already acclimated. I already adopted, man, all my beliefs and everything that had to do with the hood and everything that had to do now with the heroin. And I spent quite a few years, man, going in and out, and I'd burn cities out. I'd come up north, man. I'd burn cities out up here, and I'd move on. And they would always put me in adult homes, man, at a young age. And you know, my carnala, she knew the pastor at Victory Outreach there in Visalia, so they would always take me in, even as a youngster. And when I thought back, I go, was that even legal, man, to be putting me in homes with but it was what it was. They were just trying to help me. They're trying to do their best because I wasn't trying to listen to nobody at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward, I'm just going back and forth, strung out, burnt out cities in Arizona. Ended up having my first daughter in Arizona, but I was still strung out. I ended up jamming, came back to Cali, and I was on it. And fast forward, I ended up 1 year going to. I made a geographical move and I was going to I kept coming up north to Central Cali, and I go, you know what? I'm gonna shoot up further. And because I traveled so young, I just assumed that, you know what, man, I'm just gonna go up further and start new, because my heifer was already like, she was done with it, man. She was already on the verge. She said, you got to do something, or you got to go, because I kept bringing trouble to the pad, right?
Yeah.
And let me back up. A lot of her thing was, once my brother passed away, once he finally passed away, he got paralyzed, Jojo, from the waist down, and he was still gang banging. And then he got shot again. And then
Wow.
finally, uh, uh, he succumbed to his wounds. And I told you that bullet that kind of was lodged, like traveled within his body,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up passing away. And she hurt, brother. She hurt, and that was kind of the end of not so much the homeboys and the homegirls stopped going over there, but she stopped the whole congregating there and all that stuff in a whole. She kind of created for herself kind of a sanctuary, man. Uh, she began to seek God. She began to serve God. She began to put in work for the Lord, and that was the ongoing years. Homies would go visit her, man. Uh, just they would go visit her. They would go visit my carnala, and she would see them, and she would tell them, hey. And then my stepdad that she married, I didn't tell you about that part. She ended up remarrying, and he ended up he was from Long Beach, but he ended up being from my hood, and then we became crimies. So before I made that no, I ended up jamming. So she stopped everybody from going over there, and I ended up jamming, and I made a geographical move from Compton to Fresno. I didn't know nothing about Fresno. I just assumed at the time that it was kind of like where I was coming, up to like Tulare County, and not to pit one against the other, but I didn't know nothing about it. So I ended up there, and this is like the 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, and I think it was the late 80s. And I ended up going into a home. And from there, I ended up meeting a girl, and we ended up hooking up. And we stayed good, man. And let me tell you, Jojo, for the first time in my life, after everything that was occurring in my life, stemming from my childhood, I had Hainas that I was with, but I had never given anybody my heart. I had never gave my heart to anybody. And I ended up getting with someone, and we done good for a while, and next thing you know, we ended up using, and we kind of prior to meeting, we were prior to meeting, we were using the same type of drug. So when we met and we were clean, and then we ended up, messing around with drogas, got strung out, and because of the city that I was in, I was burning it out. I had a car, and before you know it, my crimes turned criminal against criminal,
Mm.
and I started burning conectas. And you're talking about death, man. You're talking about death just on a constant pursuing
Yeah.
you. It just got worse and worse. And next thing you know, we were on the kayas. They kept coming to the pad. I remember getting into wrestling knife fights because they didn't want to give up their stuff, man. And I'll tell you what: if you're ever were in some type of uh, 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 wrestling match with some vato who's sick and knows that you got drugs on you, they'll rustle up some power, brother, to get what they got to get, man. I don't know where that power comes
Hey,
from.
brother, you're freezing up on me, bro.
Am
Oh,
I?
so- all right, there you go. You're back on. You're freezing up.
Anyway, uh, you get that extra energy when you're sick, and you want that droga. And man, at any extreme anyway, they wanted me. Me querían. They were pursuing me, man.
Mm.
And we ended up on the calles, and I'm all over Fresno, man. East side, Parkside, just man everywhere. Parkside, we're me and that high now. We bonded, brother. If a person ever, I see relationships, but I always tell everybody, especially the fellas, and then I go, if you ever been in a relationship where you're both just watching out for each other, ride or die, that's a ride or die. Like all we got is each other. That's all we got.
Yeah.
And we stayed out there. And I remember my carnal and them, they used to tell me, you know what? The only way that we could kind of keep tabs on you is to look at the news to see if you would show up. And we were using, and I was always running into issues, being outnumbered, being jumped, and just different things. But I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't leave her. That was the crazy thing about it. The bond. I wasn't gonna just walk off and leave her, man. I said, Charlie. So I ended up getting kind of I knew what it was in Compton, and I knew what it was to be, surrounded by enemies from different hoods. But this was different.
Yeah.
Because I'm alone. And I got my hood on my face, I got my hood on my neck. There's like no hiding it.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, Jojo, if death ever impacted me to the extent that I didn't value my life, that I didn't see that I had any type of value, any worth, any meaning, any type of anything. The only thing that I think that I had purpose for is to get the next come up and protect the hyena that I was with.
Yeah.
And I put myself through a lot of pain, brother. When you let sin, man, take you, they say that sin, it'll make you go places, it'll make you travel, brother.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically, man, one day I was right there, man, in Fresno, and it was Thanksgiving, brother. And we were at this by this park. It's called Rolling Park across the street. And she ended up taking off, man. And I was right there kicking back, just waiting for her to come back. And man, my mind is just loped out. I'm just in this dark spot, so if the Huras come by, they won't see me. And I look to the right, and I can see the city. There's a bridge, man. There's a street that goes under a bridge, and there's lights. It's Thanksgiving. It's Christmas time because you can see all the lights. Earlier that day, we went to go eat at a church. They served a turkey dinner, and that was our thing. We're in the calles. We're out there, brother.
Yeah.
And I looked towards that. I was waiting, and for a moment in time, there used to be actually a victory outreach right there in that spot where I was at. And I remember it was on Belmont, and I looked over there, and for a moment in time, and recognized I'm not tripping on anything, bro. I'm not tripping on where I'm at. I'm not tripping on, I know where I know the danger that surrounds me. But I look over there and God begins to, for a moment in time, I look over there and I just break, bro. I'm just broken. I'm just, man, in tears, bro. Just deep, brother. And the thing about me is I have no problem being transparent, brother. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what it is. Romans 5:8, while we were yet sinners, that he still loved us, brother. That right there, I broke down, bro. And I looked that way. I was just thinking, man, I got a family at home. And right now, they're at home celebrating. And I'm just in this painful place, brother. And I don't even care about my life. I don't value it. You do me a favor to flatline me, man. Straight up. Straight up. I ain't even tripping. My biggest thing right now is taking care of baby. I loved her, man. Straight up. And getting high.
Yeah.
And I gathered myself, boom. But I always wondered when I thought back, when I cleaned up, why that moment? Why did that happen? Anyway, fast forward, I end up getting busted I went to Fresno County Jail. I ended up doing a year there for, man, I was going to malls and fill up bags, man, with Levi's and stuff. I was just doing a number of things.
Yeah.
So I ended up in Fresno County Jail, went through all that trip of being in the county. I got out, went back to Compton, strung out again. I ended up doing the same thing, but now my mind is even more because now I ended up leaving everything that I left, which was really the relationship that I gave myself to. I left all that. My mindset in terms of evil and criminality and all that is like a step higher. Get to Compton, and I'm back on it, man. I'm good for a while, but we know, man, that somehow, some way in our mind, I don't know what makes us when we do well or get out. Everybody wants to go back to the hood to see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And
Try to do a little check-in, huh?
now do a little check-in, feel healthy, and I done so, and surely, slowly but surely, I'm back on it. And fast forward, I end up again, man. Oh, here we go, man. Criminal on criminal crimes, and they were after me. I ended up. These are just marks that stand out to me of Romans 5:8, and in its entirety.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming up. I ended up strong arming Conecta, and I ended up going to the pad. I ended up going to the pad. My stepdad was my road dog, man. He passed away, rest in peace. And we were using. We're at my Hefas. We were using, man. We were in the restroom, and this was like around noontime, in the afternoon. My carnala was there. My nieces were there. My mom was there. And I'm in the restroom. I'm fixing everything up, and my carnala tells me, "Hey," she goes, "There's two men out there. There's two guys out here. They got guns." Well, what happened is these two vatos just walked in the pad.
Oh, damn.
And they had they walked in with their guns right on their side out. They just walked in, two paisas, two Mexicanos. Damn. And she tells me that, and I'm like, "What?" And I told my stepdad, I go, "Hey, I'm gonna finish real quick, man. And then we're gonna go out, finish, wrap up." And I all I had was like either a screwdriver or an ice pick. And remember the last state that I was in. I wasn't caring about the danger.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing it in its entirety because I didn't care about it. And I opened the door, and there they are. They're looking at me, and I'm looking at them. They're in they're in our living room, bro. They look at me, I look at them, I look at them in the face, and I start walking slowly towards them. And then I see the guns. They look at me, and as I'm walking towards them, they're walking backwards.
Yeah, they're like, "This fool's crazy."
No, they're walking towards the door, right?
Yeah.
And they walk out the front door, and my jefa, everybody, they're all there. They're all in the living. They're all there.
Oh, wow.
And they walk out the front door into the street, and they're just looking at me with this odd look on their face. I'm not knowing. I'm not putting anything on it. I'm just in a mindset where I really could care less, man. All I got is an ice pick or a screwdriver. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but they ended up walking out to the street, and they ended up leaving. Well, later on, you're going to see why. So anyway, that happened. When them vatos came there, let me tell you, Jojo, when that occurs, they didn't come to talk to me, bro. Mm-mm. They didn't come to reason. They didn't come to have a conversation about what happened. They came to lay me out, bro.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a thing that I looked at, man, and it's in Numbers 16:48. He said he took his stand between the dead and the living. He took his stand, and I just assume, I don't know what it was at that time, why, but whatever they were sent to do, they didn't accomplish, bro. And it's not because I was crazy or anything like that. I'm not going to put that on it. But whatever was occurring in the unseen, only God knew, man. That's all I could say. Only God knew. Fast forward, I end up going to the county. I'm in the county right there, Nally County Jail, the old county, man, Central. I'm there for a while. Go to Wayside, come back. I'm there. I'm fighting a case, a drug case actually, because I'm just that began my history. Aside from the gang stuff, aside from being in the barrio, aside from all that, and I end up getting out. And prior to that, my jefa had already kicked me out, so I end up getting out, and I'm right there on Long Beach Boulevard, a busy street. That's the main street right there by my pad. And I'm right there with a homeboy, Little Crow, man. He had his pet bull. It was evening, so a lot of the businesses were closed already. And we're on the boulevard. We're walking, in a hood, a rival hood, rode right up on us, and I seen the shotgun come out, and I looked, and whatever they did, it clicked. You could hear the click. They drove up, right, and mind you, all the shops are closed, all the stores are closed, so there's nowhere to duck for cover. You're just stuck right there. They pulled up a little bit, and where they pulled up, the street that they were turning on, that we were going to, was a street that my jefa lived on, was where we grew up, on Arlington, the barrio. Anyway, when they got to the corner, whatever they did to load or fix it, whatever, it went off. Boom. They peeled out. My jefa heard it from the pad. Our house was the first house right there. So they ended up blasting from a distance. It was buckshot. So really, if none of it really penetrated, I could actually pull buckshot out of my Levi's. And I ended up at the pad. Low Crow left. He ended up jamming. I told him, man, go do what you got to do. Get what you got to get. We'll meet up, and then we'll go back. We know who it was because they yelled their hood, right?
Mm.
So they made sure that we knew. But anyway, I got to the front yard of my pad, the pad that I grew up in, and my jefa was already on the porch. She already knew. Somehow she knew. Her antennas went up, but she heard the gunshot. She heard the car go by, but she knew I was around there. So she's looking at me. She's crying. Yeah, she's crying, bro. And she just begins to tell me, man, you're going to die out here. She goes, I can't let you in. I go, I just want to change. I'm just telling her, hey, Mom, I just want to change, man. And she goes, I can't let you in. I can't have this at the pad. And as men, I don't care who it is, man. You're going to get prideful. You know what I mean? Even though I was hurt in a sense, I just mustered up that prideful, that macho look like, all right. Like it don't matter. You know what I mean? But really, as I turned around and walked away, back out to the boulevard where I just got shot at, right? I had to go to the phone booth because he was telling me, get out of here, man. You got to go up north. Go to your carnales. Go, because realistically, bro, the person I am today, I'm glad that I am. Throughout the years, my homeboys have always watched me from afar. The ones that I grew up with, the ones that were older that knew me, and even the younger ones, right? On my 50th birthday, they had my carnala threw a party right there at my jefita's pad, right in the barrio. My 50th birthday, she done it up, man. A lot of my family came from San Diego, from all over, right? And homies came during the day, and then during the night, a lot of the younger homies came, man, right there, right in the tres, right in the hood. And she blew it out, man. They had fireworks and everything for my 50th. So anyway, I'm going right back out into the street. And the reason why I shared that with you is because I was strung out and my homeboys knew it. So I wasn't really like it was like, man, I'm chasing the drug, man. You know what I mean? I'm just being transparent. I'm chasing the drug. I ain't gonna fake the funk. I'm chasing the drug. So realistically, I'm not really in a sense valuable to you at this time.
Yeah.
That's why
I know
say,
exactly what you're saying.
The thing about this, the person who I became when they watched me, they always expected me, oh, Eddie will be back. He always comes back. Eddie will be back. Stork will be back. He always comes back, right? When they knew finally I'd come year after year, and they see me, man, upgrading my cars, and you know what I mean. And I jump out with a bottle of water, show my respect, kick it with them, say what's up, how you doing. They clown me a little. Hey Eddie, what's up, man? You're up there from up north now. Da, 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 da. Always something, always someone. I laugh about it, man. I say,
They
what's
give you
up?
the carrilla, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, they had to. But you know
Yeah.
what, bro? Oh, I'll tell you this. I know that whether they said it or they said it or they thought it, that they knew that I was in a better place. And even though I wasn't in the fullness representing the hood,
Mhm.
I was a representative of theirs that was doing it right.
Yeah.
So in one way or another, they were kind of in a sense from afar proud,
Yeah.
because at least I wasn't strung out no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least I was doing good. I'm flossing. I'm kind of making my way. You know, they don't know everything that I'm doing. They just see me coming back and forth, picking up my heifer, taking her out, visiting the family, DJing right there in Compton. I go back and DJ for all the little events, parties that they would have there at the pad. Anyway, fast forward, man. I got to tell you, when I ended up coming up north, when I left, when I got shot at, I came up north. How much time do we got left, brother?
Brother, we have it till you get done. We're good.
I
We're
ended
good.
up if I never listened to my heifer, if I never done anything after that conversation, man, even though I was feeling prideful, I went back out there, used the phone, and I shared that about being strung out and not being valuable to the hood, because that was really, you know, I was ducking in and out of places, sleeping in just apartments and just abandoned apartments, just places, right? So
Yeah.
I ended up calling my carnala. I ended up coming up north, and I ended up not even going to Visa no more. I didn't even go to her pad. I ended up coming to Kings County, man. I ended up, for once in my life, I said, you know what? There was the bus stop was in this little city called Goshen, and that's where they dropped me off at. And I'm just there, man. And remember, I got out of the LA County jail. I got blasted at. Talked to moms, went out there. Then I jammed up north. They sent me a ticket. I went up north. I didn't go there. I didn't go to my carnalas. They dropped me off in Goshen, and I got the only thing that I own. I got a LA Dodgers hat. It was a white LA Dodgers. It had a blue LA on it. I got a slingshot. I got some size like 44, and I'm strung out, bro. So, you know, they're just, you know, I got that belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just baggy. And then I got a pair of tennies. That's the only thing that I had of value at the time, bro, that I stole out of the county jail, man, off someone's feet. clean Nikes, bro. And that was probably, I had to keep them clean. That was the most valuable thing that I had at that time. I get to Goshen, and I'm there, man. I'm in a foreign land. I don't know. I don't really know too much about it. All I know is now I'm in Goshen. I get dropped off. They tell me that Kings County is that way. My carnal lived over there, and my carnala lived in Tulare County. So I'm kicking it. People are going by, and then one of the brothers that knew me from my carnala passed by, and he saw me, made a U-turn. He was from Northside Visalia. I didn't know that at that time, but I just knew his name. He was a brother that knew he was from the church that she went to. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "Hey, I'm trying to make it to Hanford. I don't know where it's at. I don't know." Da, da, da. He said, "Get in." He went and he dropped me off. He just dropped me off in the city. He goes, "Hey, man, praying for you, man. Do your thing." So I get dropped off. Once again, LA hat. And I didn't know nothing about this place. I didn't know nothing about Kings County, about Hanford specifically. I knew about Visalia because I had been there.
Yeah.
And I end up, someone ended up, there was no programs. I was looking for programs. There was no programs that would take me in unless I had like SSI or something coming in. And someone directed me to Victory Outreach in Hanford. And the pastor at that time, I remember going and I had throughout that day, because I couldn't find nobody. I couldn't find my carnal. I couldn't find nobody. I couldn't find a program. So I just fixed. I just used. I found that. But I ended up going to the house. They had a women's home. They had a women's home, and next door was his house, was a pastor's house. And I ended up knocking on the door, and they were having a Bible study. And I was high. And I talked to the pastor outside, and he goes, you know what? Just come into the Bible study. And once the brothers finished, was one of the leaders. Once he's finished with Bible study, we'll put you up for the night, and then we'll get you somewhere to stay tomorrow, man. So remember, I'm high, and there's like, it's a women's home. There's like 18 women in the home. They're having Bible study. They sit me in the Bible study, and they're just tripping out, I guess, because they had never seen me, and I'm nodding out, bro. I'm nodding out in Bible study, and next the pastor took me in next door. He let me spend the night, but the two houses were connected. So he let me stay the night, man. I knocked out, and it was dark. But remember, it's kind of like I'm in the fog because I'm real high. I got out of the county, so I was kind of clean. So when I got high, I got real high. And I woke up. I heard singing. And I go, what is that? But it's pitch dark in the room because I knocked out all the lights. It's pitch dark in the room, and I heard singing. So I'm trying to find the light. I'm trying to find the wall, the light, and I open the door a little bit, and I look out into where we had that Bible study, right? And there's the 18 women, and they're singing worship. They're up for devotions in the morning. They get up every morning for devotions. They woke me up. I'm wondering, how did I get here? Where am I at? Like because it was like I didn't really understand the whole night because I was locote, right? And I ended up getting dressed, washing up. They fed me, And check this out, Jojo. So the pastor goes, you know what? I'm gonna put you with this brother, man. He's gonna help you out. He's gonna take you in. He got an apartment. He's gonna take you in, and we're gonna go from there. He goes, but don't mess around. He goes, I don't want you getting high. I don't want you doing none of that no more. And the guy that he put me with, he was an older brother, man, from Northside Visalia. And I was tripping. The pastor was from Rivas, but he was from Northside Visalia. And at that time, my mind is still like kind of street. I'm still fresh in it. So I'm thinking, man, like, how's this going to work, right? So I end up going to his pad. Good dude. He had kind of a street twist to him, but good dude, solid dude, man. And he took me in. I ended up, between him and the pastor, they're just working with me. And he just went all out, man. He worked. He bought food. He took care of me. He discipled me. He taught me, man, in terms of the word and in terms of things that I needed to know. And what was happening is what they wanted to do is use me to start their men's home, right? So they were putting me out there in the community, man, to pass out flyers, to build this men's home now that they had someone in there, male. Man. And I'm getting hit up, bro. I'm out there in their neighborhood passing out flyers, and dudes are pulling up on me because I'm unaware. I'm dressed how I'm dressed, but I'm kind of like still dressed, kind of like, I guess you could recognize like how I'm dressed, like where I'm from, or I just look different. So they were pulling up on me here and there in different places. Because the thing about Victory Outreach, bro, is they're putting you in the hood. They're not dropping you off, in a good neighborhood. They're putting you in the hood. So at that time, I still had my hood right here blasted over my eye. And they dropped me off right there. Then I have it on I have my hood still on my neck, right?
Yeah.
So every time they would roll up on me and jump out on me, they would hit me up. Where are you from? Da da da. And Jojo, God, if he ever spoke to me, and I didn't, mind you, I don't even know what the voice of God is like at that time. I'm just listening to whatever it is that my mind's hearing at that time. And be mindful that I've already been through all this. I've been through this in Compton 10 times over. I've been to it in Fresno 10 times. You know what I mean? I already been through this. So when they were hitting me up and they were calling me this and that, and God would just tell me, be quiet, man. Eddie, be quiet. Just be quiet, man. And I would just stay silent. They'd get back in the car. Remember I told you when the guys that came after me, they were supposed to lay me out.
Yeah.
They had that look on their face like,
Mm.
well, this would happen. They would tell me what they would tell me, and I wouldn't respond. And I would just humble, brother. I'm being transparent. I'm in a foreign land by myself, brother. I don't got backup. I don't got this. I don't got that. I'm just alone. Even the dudes that we were taking in the home that were from there, one time they jumped. They came out on me, and I was back to, hey, this is it. They go, where are you from? Big Vato too. The dudes that were with me from the home were from here.
Yeah.
And they beeline, they kind of like made way. Yeah. I understand it. Hey, do what you got to do. Because I know the laws of the streets. I know.
Yeah.
And that's when that God was showing me. It was like a quick learning lesson. Like he didn't have time for me to be waiting for years and learn this in a year. And man, you're gonna learn this over here. Nah, it was just a fast pace, man, learning. So I started to walk respectful, man. I wasn't going nowhere. I had to be in the calles. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't in the cuts. I was out in the open. So I think what happened is that they would see me often. They would always see me and they understood, hey, man, this Vato, he's here. But check this out, Jojo. I tell the fellas, man, we always had a belief system that the people that we ran with, or the people from the barrio, and I got a lot of love for them and I respect them to the fullest. But when it comes to God, brother, when it comes to God looking at your life, even while you were yet a sinner, when it comes to God, bro, I tell the fellas, man, your help, true help, God help, will come from the most unlikely places, bro. Yeah. And when that northerner took me in, bro, that was one of the most unlikely places that my help would come from, bro.
Yeah.
Because remember, I left my hood.
Yeah.
Right? So I tell the fellas that. Like, always remember, man, like God help. Sometimes you may not understand it, and you may not even embrace it because it's coming from someone else that you think was by your gang belief system your enemy.
Yeah.
Let me say this, man. Your help will come from the most unlikely place. So we built up a men's home here in Kings County, bro. I developed a heart for the county. I developed a heart for the city, and I started to work with parolees, with probationers, running homes, running a co-ed home with their families, and that's where the work began. God began to minister to me. I ended up getting married. I was married for 16 years. I got 5 kids, right? But this is an era now. Now I'm doing ministry. Now I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm growing a heart for the city that God made me responsible for, that I was tasked to. It's a northern community.
Yeah.
And I developed, like I said, a heart for it, man, and a love for it. God was growing me quick. He didn't have time for me to be wondering, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I consider this? He said, this is what you're going to do. And I had an understanding because I know that my life was required of me, Jojo.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of testimonies, but I'm going to say my life was required of me. If God, I always say, if God dealt with us tooth for tooth, eye for eye, and gave us our just reward for the things that we done in our lifetime, or you wouldn't be on this podcast, bro.
Yeah, that's real.
Half the people that watch me, that go on my lives or go on our podcast or go on whatever, I always tell them, you know why I don't mind telling you that? Because you're the same way. If God dealt with us, a lot of the vatos that tapped in, man, imagine if we would have got our just reward, but God's mercy stood in for us.
Yeah. Amen.
So here we go, man. Once again, building it up in 2005. people kept coming to me. They see me outreaching. Like I said, now I'm living for my family. I'm doing my thing. I'm outreaching. I'm doing parks. I'm preaching at parks. I'm feeding people, and that's where Christsider came in, because there was such a gap in between the South and the North that I needed something. I don't know what my mind taught me. I had developed the thing so much for this purpose that I had for my barrio, and it was ingrained in my bones, man. It was ingrained in my core. So when I developed, when I gravitated to Christside or to Christsider, it was something that I owned, because it gave me kind of a twist to have that mindset of that can't stop, won't stop. And to be here in this environment, working with the element that I was working with, I had to develop something for myself, man. I knew God was there. I love God. I know God's there, and I know Jesus is there.
Amen.
But I just needed something that I could adapt to, that I could identify as, that would help me. And you know what it did, Jojo? It helped me. They would always ask me, "Hey, man, what's that on the back of your car? What's that on the back?" And I never sold T-shirts or never done none of that.
Yeah.
But I always repped it for years and years and years. And a lot of the parolees would always tell me, "Hey, that's you, man. That fits you." So that's where that came from.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, people were approaching me from the prison, from Pleasant Valley.
Amen.
I ended up running into. Well, let me back up. I'm doing all this ministry for VO. Awesome ministry. Learned a lot, man. My upbringing. And when I thought back, there's this event that happened in running a home, and my wife at that time, they came out of Visa, and her sister married Vato. He was a northerner from Visa.
Yeah.
He had just got out of CSP, and CSP Corcoran after 10 years, and he was like connected, you know what I mean? So I'm just hearing about him. I'd see pictures of him, and I would my wife's Carnala would show me pics of him, and he's getting out, and she'd always talk about him and praying for him, and we'd be praying for him and stuff. So now he's getting out.
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? I was tasked. I go, I'll go pick him up. I had never been to Corcoran. I go, I'll go pick him up. I went and I picked him up. I swooped him up, and I ended up, "Hey man, let's go." Da, 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 da. He had already kind of started talking to his wife at that time, who already knew the Lord and was serving the Lord, but he still had that mindset.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up helping him, man. I ended up helping him. Grew, hey man, a solid concern for his salvation, brother, and for him as a man. And that was the first time, when I think back, that God really opened my eyes to the element. I think he was giving me a test, brother. I think he was giving me a test. He goes, "Look, this is your first parolee, someone who would be deemed in gang geographics as your enemy.
Yeah.
This is your first real test. You've done good thus far with parolees. You've done good thus far with homes. You've done good thus far with probationers, with their families, with Northerners. You've grown a heart. You've helped them. You prayed for them. But now we got one coming out of the system, fresh out of the system, out of the mindset, out of the element."
Yeah. Yeah.
And slowly but surely, man, with all respect, more my heart driven through God, walked him through a process of change. He ended up surrendering to the Lord, man. He ended up, man, just becoming an awesome man. He ended up running homes and doing, it kind of just took. And we, till this day, man, we're still, we're still friends throughout all the years.
That's awesome.
And 2005, people were coming. There was a dude that came here, a brother that came here. He landed here. It's a trip, Jojo. He landed here. He was from Fresno. He was a bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
So he was saved, but a lot of the sad to say that a lot of the ministries didn't embrace him. I
Yeah.
can't say it was because of where he was from, but they just didn't embrace him.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like me, man. We had a passion to go out despite what the elements were in the calles. We were in a foreign land, man. He was doing the same thing. So I said, I kind of like took him along. Hey, come on, man, let's go. I'll team up with you and kind of. And he kind of like stayed to himself, but we kind of locked arms and done a couple of things, and ended up helping him, man. The same thing, helping him get on his feet. And throughout the years, he ended up staying saved, and he runs a pretty big church right now, man. Here
That's
in
awesome,
Tampa.
bro.
So in 2005, we started working in the prison. For the very first time, they kept pursuing me. Hey, Eddie, come to the prison. Hey, Eddie, come to the prison. You paroled in 2003, right?
Yeah.
2005, I finally get my stuff in, get my resume in, my cover page. They read my cover page. They're like, man, get this dude in. When I got there, I interviewed. The guy that interviewed me, he goes, and what's crazy is it was Amity at that time. They were coming out of Donovan. Man, it was sharp. But check it out. The interviewer goes, hey, you know what? He asked me some questions. How much would you ask for if we were to ask you what you wanted to get paid? Da, 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 da. And he goes, let me tell you this, Eddie. He goes, what we just went through is a formality. He goes, you're already hired. He goes, I already heard all about you. Da, da, da. You're already hired. It was just a formality. He goes, but the thing I want to tell you, brother. He goes, the thing I want to tell you, you were humble enough to say, you know what? Whatever they were paying me at the last job, just go ahead and do that, man. This is my passion. He goes, I understand that. And he wasn't saying. He goes, I get that. He goes, but Eddie, if you would have shot a higher number, man, we would have met somewhere higher. He goes, you know why? He goes, because don't you believe that just as much as you want to help people, that God wants to help you? He goes, you need to think about your worth, man. You need to think, give thought. He goes, I know you're being humble. I know, you look at it as something else that you want to do, but just give thought to that. He goes, but just wait for just wait for the paperwork to get done, and we'll get you in. Anyway, that's where I started. 2005 in the prison, man. That's when they put the R on CDCR, man. The rehabilitation on CDCR. Everything started to evolve. First week, Jojo. First week in the prison. I go in. I'm dressed up, bro. And I still dress like I dress, but I'm dressed up. And at that time, they had in Pleasant Valley, you have to walk through the yard. They still had the day rooms, like the gyms full. That was that era. They still had the gyms full. There was still the same wars that are going on today were going on back then. That was evolving into a programming yard. I think B yard was like the active yard. So it was just, everything was evolving. Vatos were coming down from level 4s, level 3s. We had a lifer program on the yard. It was a trip because it was just a whole trip, man. There was lifers, reps that were from the yard going in the program. I mean, it was just a whole trip. But anyway, I go in first week, and there was this homie from Los. He approaches me, and he sees the hood on my face. He sees the hood on my neck, and hey, what's up? Da, da, da. You're from Compton, huh? Yeah. And mind you, back then, you're just going in cut dry. There's no going to training first, and they had cross training, but it was months after you were there already.
Yeah.
They're just throwing you in, and then they're just going to train you to do what we do there.
Yeah.
So I go in, and I'm just off the streets. I'm just assuming that everybody's a gang member criminal in here, so I'll fit in, whatever. Yeah. I know what that's like. And this rep approaches me, and we're talking. So there was a big circle. You got vatos from everywhere. You got Bulldogs, you got Southerners, you got Northerners, you got blacks, you got whites, you got others. There's about like 100 vatos. They open the walls up and they make this big circle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's morning time, and he comes stands next to me, and he goes, he's talking to me, and through that conversation, he goes, "Hey, so," he goes, "So this is you, huh?" He goes, "So this is you now, huh?" I go, "Yeah, this is me, man." I go, "This is me." I go, "This is what I do." And he said, he goes, "All right, we'll see." And then he walked off, bro.
Mm.
He walked off, bro. So I'm there. It's my first day. I'm just tripping on this, tripping
Yeah.
on the homie, man. He's like, he just
Yeah.
walked off, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jive you, bro. I know whose house I was in. I know this is their element. I love
Yeah.
the Lord. I'm saved, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna get tested. That
Yeah.
my faith isn't gonna be tested.
Yeah.
So he
Exactly.
walks off, and I'm just there thinking, all right, like what's his vato tripping on? All right,
Yeah.
what's he tripping on? So throughout the day, I think about it, and I'm like, hold up, huh? Hold up. I go, he knows if this homie does, because I know the one thing that I know about the fellas is their intel is pretty quick. They
Mm.
want to find out who you are, if they know who you're from, they'll find that out. So I go, you know what? He's gonna find out if they do, if he does, ask if he knows the family there, he's gonna find out that I'm not unfamiliar with death, man. And it's gonna be what it's gonna be, not disrespectfully, but I've already been through this. I've
Yeah.
already been up to this point. The only thing that could top this is if someone takes my win. That's it. But this part already came here, and I mustered up some. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. So
Yeah.
that whole week, the first day, Jojo, he don't know what God is doing in my life. And that whole week, from the first day, uh, you know, the first day I'm leaving, and the a lot of the fellas, be it where they're from, they met me. They kind of I introduced myself in the groups, kind of a little bit about my story.
Mm.
Then I'm jamming, man, the first day, and I'm walking out. We're all walking out through the yard, going through the yard, and all the fellas are on the yard. And I could hear him, all right, Compton. And I don't care what you tell them. If you tell me,
Yeah.
don't call me
Yeah.
Compton, that's not my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what you tell them. They're going to call you what they identify you as,
Yeah.
especially if they're saying that you're one of theirs, because
Mm.
that's kind of what the picture was being painted, right?
Yeah.
From that rep. All right, Compton, see you mañana, da, 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 da. And I'm just hearing them. We get out, we go out all of the security. And mind you, for whatever reason, it was my first week, my first day. They said the people that I carpooled with, they go, hey, man, you're starting off the carpool. I go, all right, whatever. So I'm walking to my car, and I'm just thinking about these homies that are yelling across the yard, all right, Compton, da, 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 da. And I'm looking at the faces. And when I get to my car, bro, I start to put the key in the door to unlock it. And there was a homegirl that was from Orange County. She was working with me. She was carpooling with me. Another two more people. There was three altogether in me. And I opened the door. I was opening the door, and as soon as I put my key in there, man, I just broke, bro. I just broke, and they're just looking at me. And I opened the door, and I sat down, and I started tripping. And I couldn't separate the emotion of walking through the yard and walking out of that place when I was cut from the same cloth and possibly deserved the same ending. And I couldn't separate the emotion of why. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know what I was feeling, bro.
Yeah.
But God, whatever God was doing in my life at that time, man,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. And that went on for a few days, man, because I couldn't separate what made His mercy say no to what would have stretched me out or would have put me 6 feet under, and why. And I didn't know. Time went on. All that week, they were sending younger homies. They sent a younger homie from Compton. Hey, Compton, what's up? I'm from Compton. Da, da, da. They're going in the building, bro. They're going in the SAP building. Hey,
Yeah.
what's up? Hey, the lifers want to know if you. And I just look at them because I know we're going through this back and forth game, right?
Mm.
And the thing about it, Jojo, is I'm walking with respect, man. I'm staying respectful, but I'm telling them, I go, hey, youngster, man. I go, let the lifer knows, man. I send my saludos, but let them know, man, that's kind of like, that's not going to happen, bro. No disrespect intended, bro. You know, I am who I am today, man. Not disrespectfully, but that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
So finally, the last day, bro, that rep came back from Los, the older Vato. He goes, hey, we're talking. He tries to approach me. And remember, I'm just getting trained to do what they want me to do. I'm
Yeah.
doing opening to morning meetings. I'm doing all that stuff. I'm kind of like setting the stage. I'm starting my public speaking,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no training for all the other stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because to me, it was like normal to have conversations with these vatos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he comes up to me and he goes, "We're on C yard," and he goes, "Hey, your homie's on B yard." He goes, "Your homie Boggles on B yard." He says, "What's up, man?" I go, "Who?" And when he told me, he goes, "Your homie said, what's up, man?" I just saw the look on his face, bro. And when they say that, what he means is, hey, your homie says, what's up? What you got?
Yeah.
Da, 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 right? So he just says, your homie Boggle said, what's up? And I go, who? And he goes, your homie Boggle. And I go, what? I go, hey, man. I go, hey, bro, tell Boggle that I've been praying for him, man. Tell Boggle when if you talk to him, you tell him that I've been praying for him. And when I said that, bro, it's like the look on his face. It's like the record scratched. It's like
Yeah.
it's like time stood still. He didn't want to hear that, bro. He
Yeah.
didn't want to hear that, bro. He didn't want to hear that. And I told him, let Bago know that I'm praying for him, man. From that day forward, it changed the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm not a disrespectful dude. Um, I was just convinced in my heart, man, of what I
Yeah.
was there for and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Before you know it, as time went on, he's bringing me photos of his son. He was a lifer that he hadn't seen in years growing up. He's showing me photos of his son in a football uniform. He had never seen him, but he just seen pictures. His mom would send him pictures of him. And he
Yeah.
told me, pray for my son, man. So the purpose began to unfold. Imagine if I would have gave in to these knuckleheads. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I love them. I love the element, man. That's why I
Yeah.
stayed there. And
Yeah.
here we go, man. I started my tour
Yeah.
in Pleasant Valley, came back out for years, worked in Kings County, ran a parolee program, built up a 50-bed facility for men for parolees in AB 109er Samuel's house. Got that running. I've managed programs for years, brother. Sat on a behavioral health cultural competency panel, was under
Yeah.
behavioral health for a long time, worked anywhere from community schools to boot camps to juvenile halls, pregnant women and children. I mean, passing the test in the Lord and making sure that what my priority was making sure that I done right by the men that God brought my way. And boom, here I go. I'm on my tour. God's just shooting me out. I'm doing
God's giving you favor, bro. That's what that was. God
hey
was giving
bro,
you favor.
I became the county MC for September for sobriety month,
Hmm.
recovery month. I became the MC for Kings County 6 years consecutively. I was the
Hmm.
one MCing it and DJing and bringing the bands in and all that, MCing the whole thing for six
That's
years
awesome.
consecutively.
Awesome. You know, bro,
And go ahead.
let me give you a chance to catch your wind again, right? Because it's all good stuff, man. But man, listening to your story, bro, it brings back a lot of good memories, because I think I've shared it in my testimony as well. Being a mentor in there, being a residential, counselor, when SATF first, started its lifer program, the peer driven, substance abuse facility, and what's different from what Walden House did in New Corcoran and what Amity did in Donovan, Donovan had 1 yard, I mean, one building that was the drug program, right? In New
Hmm.
Corcoran, it was the whole yard. You know what I'm saying? Well, there was actually 2 yards. One was ran by Phoenix House, and one was ran by Walden House, right?
Hmm.
And when they started training us on this stuff, man, nobody was listening to us, Metro. They're like, man, you're one of us, man. We ain't trying to do all that programming, blah, blah, blah. And they knew we were tight with the providers. And I could see why they were testing because, during my years there, all them providers coming in, hey, a lot of them providers got turned out. A lot of them fell in love. The females fall in love with the
Yeah,
guys. The guys coming in will start bringing clavo. They'll start bringing in,
yeah,
and it's always little stuff, you know what I mean, that we would work them with. Hey, bro, can you just, bring me, a writing pen, you know what I mean? Like, bam, 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 little stuff. Hey,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
hey, I ain't never had a Snicker bar in like 5 years, bro. Can you bring me a Snicker? Before you know it, hey, can you bring me in a 20? You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
builds
yeah,
up, builds up. So what they were doing is what inmates do. They're testing their grounds on you, see how far they could get you to go. And if you would have broke, if you would have cracked, they would have like got them. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah,
would have been like,
absolutely.
hey, hey, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of you, Eddie. While you're on this yard, ain't nobody gonna mess with you. You're one of us. And they're already thinking, they already got bigger plans that you're
Absolutely.
unaware of. I mean,
Absolutely.
you probably knew, but their head, they're like, yeah, okay, hey, feed man, we got a homie in here. You know what I'm saying? But hey, once they seen that tres, they're like, shoot, you know what I mean? We got a pipeline now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going down. They're already
They're
hearing
already,
ching ching. They're
yeah,
already calculating the money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, as a lifer, what I mean? Thank God I was saved, but I seen it all. I seen them work. Not just volunteers, not just the providers, the substance abuse providers, but education staff, even CEOs get turned down. Why is there so many phones in the CEOs?
yeah,
Man, money,
absolutely,
money makes
absolutely.
people talk, right? Hey, but let me say this real quick before I forget. I got to New Corcoran. New Corcoran, that's the biggest prison in California. I don't know if they've added other yards, but New Corcoran had 7 yards at the time. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, 7 yards, right?
Hmm.
Biggest prison in California. And they were opening it up. 97 is when it opened. And that's when I got there. And when I opened up B yard, when you open up a yard, when you open up a prison, you open up a yard, everybody's fighting for every piece of land. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's South, North, White, Black, Bay Area blacks, just
Hmm.
everybody's fighting for their benches or handball courts. Who could use the basketball court? At this
Hmm.
time, the weights were gone. So people were fighting over the dip bars. You know what I mean? Like, who's going, we want this side of the yard. You guys
Hmm.
go over there, and what bleachers, people could hang out on and stuff. And I remember, being there when I was probably like on the second bus to open up that yard, B yard. And I was saved already, bro. And I was already, I was already, pretty solid in my word, my reputation of being a Christian in the yard and
That's
all
right.
this and that, right? And when I'm there, I remember like the north and the south were going at it, bro, left and right, going at it, just trying to, make their marks and stuff. And I remember I would be sitting on a bench. I was sitting on this bench reading my Bible, and the dudes from up north, they were like, hey, like, what side you on? You know what I mean? And it's funny though, because when you say Christ side, I'm like, man, I'm on God's side. You know what I mean? Then were
Yeah,
like the first words that came out of my mouth. I'm a Christian. Don't you
yeah,
see me reading my Bible? I had a little sense of pride, like, hey,
yeah,
go
yeah,
over there,
yeah, yeah.
go over there and mess with them dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm right here, representing Christ. And it's funny though, because one of the brothers that I first established with, right there, the little Christian fellowship, he was a northern brother from, I believe he was from Sanger. Yeah, he was from Sanger. And this brother, man, his name was Junior. And I remember when we went into the chapel to introduce ourselves to the chaplain. I told him that, yeah, I'm from LA, chap, this and that. And the other brother, said he was from up there. And he's looking at us like, what are you guys doing together? And we're like, didn't we tell you we're a Christian brother? But even the chaplain was looking at us kind of
Yeah,
like you guys are hanging out right now. Like, you guys must be like real Christians, right? But it was funny though, because a lot of the northerners seen me hanging out with him, and a lot of southerners seen him hanging out with me. But just like you, they're going to tempt us, they're going to test us, and as long as you don't compromise, man, and you stay faithful, man, God will give you favor with him and man, and that's
That's
what
right.
God did. Before long, we had a big Christian circle, multicultural, um, and God just moved there, you know what I mean? And God used the body of Christ for a lot of miracles right there in New Corcoran, man. And blessed are the peacemakers, the Bible says, and that's what we were, man. We
Absolutely.
were
Absolutely.
there, what I mean, just like pretty much, bro, a gang of times we were putting ourselves right in the middle of the crossfire. You know what I'm saying? We're like, hey, brothers, we need to stand in this gap for these brothers. And a lot of times, they would be like just like a lot of doping issues, dude burn me, blah, blah, blah. I like, how much he burn you for? Fool? I remember one of the times I told this dude, the homies were about to kick it off, right? Over some dope, you know what I'm saying? Because when dope's around, man, that's the funniest thing. Prison could be so racist, man, but it doesn't matter what booty that dope come from. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might not eat after a black dude, but if that black dude brings in some dope, you gonna use it. You know what I'm saying? And we all know how he's bringing it in. So I'm like, forget the prejudice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember, man, they told me, yeah, the dude, got over on me for $50. I said, listen, I'll give you $100. Just squash it. That's how much, like, money ain't nothing. They were like, nah, it's the principle, blah, blah, blah. I said, dude, locked it up already, and you still going to take it out on everybody. And they were like, hey, this isn't a Christian matter or whatever. I said, listen, dude is gone. Dude locked it up with your 50 or whatever. And now you want
Mhm.
to kick off a whole thing. And I said, you know what? As a matter of fact, I want to pray. I just put my hands on his head, started praying for him, bro. And he just like looked at me afterwards and he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious, man. I said, come on, man, $50, man, it ain't worth it. And the homies that were standing around, they were kind of thinking about too, like, homeboy's gone already and we still gonna kick it off. It's just common sense. It wasn't some
Yeah,
big godly revelation. It's just, it don't make no sense for you guys to kill one another. You guys are already fighting over, stupid stuff. But by faith, I moved and God moved, you know what I'm saying? And
that's right.
man, and man, I was
But
just
then,
thinking about when you said Christ side, feeling alone because that's what I felt like. Even though homie still had like my back and whatnot, but I had boundaries, bro. I learned to set boundaries and like you, I understood respect from all levels, and that's probably what kept me on the straight and narrow for a long time, without having a lot of serious issues throughout my time, just knowing
absolutely,
right from wrong. But yeah, man,
absolutely.
I'm glad you didn't compromise that first time because if you would have even budged a little bit, they would have been trying to work you like a pork chop.
And let me say this. I don't think either that it was self will. I just adopted that philosophy, man. That I already died, man. I Let me say this. I knew what I deserved in my lifetime, and I knew that God was merciful, but He had
Yeah.
proven Himself to me. So there was nothing to lose for me. There was
Yeah.
nothing. Remember all them years that I was going back and forth. That I told you I didn't value my life. So when
Hmm.
God restored me, mind, body, and spirit, gave me a family that I thought I would never in my lifetime ever picture. Right,
Yeah.
them were the things now that were fueling. But more than anything, it was just that philosophy. The I'm too church for the streets, and I'm too street for the church. I was somewhere in
Mm.
between. I was somewhere in between, and I could never find my way to fully just adopt the full place of just being in the church. I've done all the ministry that you could do. I've evangelized. I've preached. I've
Mm.
done Bible, I've foundation
Man.
of faith class, everything. But
Man.
my passion was always being out in the calles.
Yeah.
Anyway, to kind of speed this up, check it out. So I done all that. I ended up, man, throughout the years doing that. In 2015, I believe it was, in Old Corcoran in CSP. They flipped yards. They flipped yards. I think A was an active yard, C was a programming yard, and they flipped it. So C became the active yard, and then they like flipped the yards. So when we went down, I was working there at that time, and we're working a lifer group, LTOP. You ever heard of LTOP? It's a lifer group that I was doing. I was working with nothing but lifers. But because we were going to be down for a few weeks or even a month, I told my boss, well, someone's emailing me from Fresno. And I go, check it out. I'm going to get all my documentation, all my files, everything that I do up to date. And if they end up responding to me, they want me to go check out this program. They said that they have a position for a management position out there. I've always done management. God favored me, bro. I always done that. They have a management position out there in Fresno for me. I go, the only thing is I don't know what it entails. So when they finally emailed, I talked to them. They told me, oh, Eddie, we got a position for you. I go, well, where's it at? They go, over here on the west side of Fresno. And mind you, I worked with the element, with the Bulldogs in the prison and everything. I worked with everybody. In fact, in Kalinga, the majority of my class they gave me was all Bulldogs. And then the guy that was a Bulldog, that was a former Bulldog that was saved, they gave him all the Southerners. they like it on us, right?
Yeah.
So I had already worked with them in the prison, in a sense, doing the class stuff. When that call came, I go, hey, check it out. I go, what's the element? I asked her, well, who it was. Do you remember back then when you were there? Sue Weisenhouse? Sue Braz? No, white lady. No. Anyway, she was the executive director there on the west side. I go, check it out. When I get out of work, man, I'll go straight to Fresno. You take me to dinner, so I don't have to come back and worry about that. Then we'll go check out the program, and then I'll make a decision. We did it. Went to go eat. Went to the program. Walked around it. Majority of them were Bulldogs off the calles, parolees, and there was a couple of Northerners, couple of Southerners, and then some others. It was co-ed, so there was women there too, and then it had a detox.
Yeah.
So it's on the west side of Fresno. I go, okay. So I came the next day and I go, I don't know, God. I go, man, I'm just, kind of thinking about it, man. Because even though I know that God, he's talking to me about this next task, he also knows that I'm going to think about this, man. Because I'm going specifically into, their neighborhood, into the west side. And that's the element that's there. But I told the Lord, you know what? If I'm ever going to end my tour with something that I haven't done, I go, let's go ahead and do it. I said, let's go ahead and do it. I called her. I go, hey, man, let me put in my 2 weeks. I'll tell my boss while we're on this downslope. They're flipping yards, man, and we're just going to be waiting. Man. I go, I'm going to Fresno. I'm going to go work over there. I went to go work over there, I ran that program, managed it for 14 months. Met a lot of good people, man. The parole officers came and they would say, Eddie, on 2 occasions, Eddie, I got to say, man, there's a lot of programs that are in Fresno. They go, for whatever reason, the program, when we drop our guys off here, this program, we don't get calls with gang issues. Like there's not a lot of gang issues. Well, what I would do when parole would bring them, rather than just send them to the counselor that they're going to be under, right? As the manager and also as a supervisor over the parole component, I would just bring them in my office specifically and just talk to them, man. Get it over with, let them know, hey, well, not let them know. They would see where I was from, but it would kind of like break ground, man. And I'd let them know, where I'm coming from. I'm going to walk them through this, whatever we got to do to get them through. I think what they noticed about me too, even the Northerners, all the years that I worked with them here in Kings County under Champion, they know that I was a dude that when they would mess up and parole wanted to lock them up, for them to turn themselves in, or they were looking for them, that I would go out of my way, that I would put myself on the line to tell the parole agent or the parole supervisor, hey, give them. I'll take it. I'll take this, man. Give them one more chance, man. I got this. I put myself on the line, and I think them seeing that, because God, the thing about the Lord, I think bringing me out of my situation and then seeing battles that came out of the similar situations, I felt that there was nothing impossible, and I didn't want to feel that I had this place in my heart where I felt that there was dudes, that there was humanity, any type of human, be it man or woman, be a parolee man from that program or a parolee women
Yeah,
that they were incapable of making it,
that's
despite
right.
them messing up. And I put myself in the line to prove that, to say, you know what, man, forget what happened. Let's move forward. Do the consequence of it, get over it, and let's move forward. Go through your blackout. And I think that's where the respect came from. I met a lot of good people, man, from a lot of different places in Fresno, a lot of different hoods, a lot of women from Fresno, a lot of different areas of Fresno. And I think when I left there, man, uh, I was tired. I had been managing for years, doing the 24/7 reports. In the middle of the
Wow.
night, 2 in the morning, I just told the Lord, I'm tired, Lord. I'm just. So I gave my 2 weeks, and I went back to the prison, and as a supervisor, and I felt that I completed my tasks there, man. That I done well by them. That God entrusted me to go and do right by them, and I feel that I done that. I met a
Amen.
lot of good people. I went back, brother. After that, I outreach right there in Fresno on the east side.
Yeah.
I went to G Street. That's where all the prostitution, all the homeless. I wanted to go to the darkest place. I went back and I ministered, fed them, took a little cruise. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
that's kind of
Hey,
like that was the last thing right there that I needed to see in terms of what God wanted to do at an extreme level. And I
man.
came back, and now I've been back at CSP, man, all these years, back there
Amen.
again, and
Hey,
doing
hey,
this eye
brother,
study.
let me stop you real quick. Hey, let me stop you real quick because we're hitting the 2 hour mark real quick. But let me
Uh,
I'm gonna open it up for phone calls real quick and we'll see what happens. But just keep going, okay? If they call in, they call in. As you can see right there, I'm taking in calls right now. The number is 626-367-9275. If you would like to talk to Eddie, ask him some questions, give him some encouragement. Um, Go ahead and call in. We're opening up the phone lines right now. Let me take this off. Do not disturb. Let me take in all calls. All right. If you would like to call in and encourage Eddie or ask a question or anything like that, man, please do so. We would love to hear from you. Amen. Sorry about that, Eddie. Go ahead, bro.
no, no,
We're
no,
going to
you're
see if
good.
anybody calls
That's
in.
kind of just where I'm at now. I'm back working with the lifers, with the LWAPs,
Yeah.
doing that program where they're becoming state certified counselors,
Yeah.
and seeing some of the homies come home from across the state, you know.
That's awesome, bro.
But
You know,
aside,
one of the things I learned in there, Eddie, man, that builds the respect level is being fair, firm, and consistent with everybody. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
Because
absolutely,
when one group of people see you showing favor to a certain group or whatever, like if you were just feeding with all the guys from Southern LA, Southern California or something, you know, that would automatically just cut the ties from everybody up there. But as long as you're fair, firm, and consistent, they look
absolutely,
at you like, hey, this is a solid guy that his interest is in all of us getting better. They see that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's kind of like my platform right now, man. My oldie show, and it's kind of what I do in the prison. I minister to vatos from everywhere. I
Yeah.
run across homies that are working out in cages. They're still, in that mindset, but still
Yeah.
doing it. You know what I mean? But that's what my platform is gente that are from across the state, and that's just where it's at. That's where I'm at in life, man.
Yeah.
Loving
That's
God
a
and
good
loving
place to
people.
be, man. That's a good place to be, Eddie, man. The Lord has definitely been gracious to you, man. His grace has been sufficient, to see you through all this. Because man, just like your brother, you could have been that victim. You could have been the one getting shot as a young kid. And God seen it all for a reason, like you said, man. In Romans, when the Bible talks about he loved us while we were yet sinners, man. That blew my mind too. As a matter of
Yeah,
fact, I would show you my notes right now, but next week I'm going to be ministering at a men's breakfast, and that's in my notes. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
tying it into the message, but yeah, man, that blew me away as well. And
That's right.
and man, that's awesome, bro. Your story is very powerful. It gives a lot of hope, to people that feel like, I've been doing this my whole life. How can someone get out of this? You know what I'm saying? by the
Yeah,
power of God, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, give a
Hey,
lot of hope.
the last thing I want to say, man, is a couple years back, uh, I got really enlightened, man. We had a class. We were doing a class, man, and you gotta. The thing about what we do is you gotta offer everybody. I don't care where they're at in the prison. You gotta offer them treatment. I mean, obviously, unless it's off limits, but more than likely, we had a group where they had to bring the bottles in, two COs, bring them in one at a time, and they had to sit in a plexiglass cage while we done classes with them. And the
Mm,
thing that messed me up, bro, is for Thanksgiving we brought them some pies, some little pies for Thanksgiving, and some
mm,
sodas and snacks. You know, the company bought it, so every yard got them. But when it came to them, man, and I go, no, now I'm gonna go see the fellas, man. There was like 5 cages, and they used to have to like escort them all because they were still of the mindset of being, you know,
yeah.
affiliated or whatever. And giving them the food and seeing them eat it in there, bro. But them being grateful, them saying hey gracias, like sharing their gratitude towards it,
Mm,
man, that tore me up, bro. That tore me
yeah.
up. God, I mean, I grew a new respect, and for what I do,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just gave me a different outlook, man, on just the element itself, you know. But they were
Yeah.
grateful. They were real grateful, man, to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Every time I go into the prison, because you know I go in every Saturday morning from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and it's crazy because back in '97 when I got kicked out of the youth authority and they transferred me to Chino Prison, they took me straight to AdSeg, which is called Palm Hall, and I teach right across from Palm Hall, and there's like 10 cages in there. I guess it was the EOP building. I mean EOP class. That's where I do my new class at,
Mhm.
and every time I pass by there, man, it just my gut kind of flips, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, to think the full circle that man, I was doing life right here. And back in them days, back in the 90s, no lifers were going home. That was like far-fetched, for any of us ever coming home. And I remember sitting in that ad set because I was a YA baby, and now here I am in prison, and this place, Palm Hall, this is like the Washington D.C. of politics, you know what I mean, for a long time, and
Absolutely.
here I was, man, as a Christian. I was Christian already, man, and I'm on this management role with all these dudes, man, and God said, "Hey, when you going to preach to them?" And I just think of the memories that I had right there, going back 97, here I was a Christian, a bond servant of the Lord, literally, doing life, but also in the whole under investigation for what happened in YA. And you know, every time I pass by there, I kind of feel like that. And when the guys come out and they shake my hand when they're leaving, thank you, Jojo, for teaching us what you did right now, for helping us, blah blah blah. And yeah, and my gut just kind of flips, you know what I'm saying? Like just with gratitude, just grateful, just for a long time I battled with the survivor's guilt, bro. You know what I mean? I felt like I didn't deserve to be out here. I literally felt like, I still be, but once all the lifers started coming home, I think the burden was a little lighter. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like everybody's
yeah,
home now, from at least way back then, yeah, a lot of them did 25, 30 years, but at first though, when I came home, I was like, even my wife could testify, man. There was nights where I cried in bed wanting to go back to prison. I know it sounds weird, I mean, it's hard to, fathom that thought process, but it's crazy though, especially when everything was going good in my life. I just felt like I didn't deserve this. I felt like, there was times I felt like they were just going to come snatch me up and say psych, you know what I mean? Like give me a little teaser or something, but it was a hard transition for me in the beginning, because I was like the poster boy, even with
yeah, yeah.
parole. I mean,
Absolutely.
nowadays when lifers get out, they're doing like 18 months of parole. I did 6 years high control parole with the gang unit with the curfew, bro. 6 years with no violations, no dirties. I had a place of residence the whole time. But I get it though. I was the example. I was the one
Yeah,
that,
you were the
hey,
poster child of what they were not, of what they're trying
poster
to do.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And even like in the program, everyone else was free to roam around. I always had to have escorts. You know what I mean? I always had to have somebody going with me, like kind of holding my hand. And
Yeah,
it was a hard transition for me, bro, in the beginning. So man, thank you for helping all them lifers that you are helping. Cause I remember
absolutely.
my transition counselors, in New Corcoran in the Walden House. And they would prep me, and tell me, when you get out this and that, blah, 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 and be accountable and speak your feelings and all this stuff. And sure enough, man, that's what when people ask me, how have I been able to do it? I just celebrated 20 years, 22 years in August. And they always ask me, man, how did you do it? You know what I mean? And I said, you know
Mhm.
what? I didn't do it alone. I'll tell you that much. I had a mentor, I had a sponsor, I had people in my life that I would call all the time. Every time my head would start to trip, every time my feelings would start to feel a certain way, I would reach out. That's what I learned. You don't got to do this alone. Reach
That's
out,
right.
talk to these people. And I felt that these people that I was calling, they really had my back. They really sincerely wanted the best for me in life, you know what I mean? And I could trust them with whatever I was going through.
Absolutely. I think the icing on the cake was you having that core experience with God.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh
been
yeah,
the
most
icing on. I say it all the time, brother. All these years, people ask me all these years. It ain't that I ain't never tripped or that I never thought about nutting up or going from 0 to 60. It
yeah.
just hadn't. In those times, God kept me. You know what I mean? Even when I didn't want to be kept,
Yeah.
that's the icing on
Man,
the cake, man. You know what I mean?
that's right, brother. That's right. Hey, so I guess everybody's shy to call in, bro. I don't got it on block or nothing, but like nobody wants to call in.
Yeah,
So
that's. Then we've been on here for 2 hours, man.
yeah, bro. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, bro, because I know you got to get ready for tomorrow. I know my
Absolutely,
family, they
absolutely.
haven't even ate yet. My kids and them are like, Dad, hurry up. I can hear them in the background. Like, man, we gotta go eat dinner, man. It's already 8
That's
o'clock.
right.
But
That's right.
we always eat late anyway, man. During the week, me and my wife, we get home late. So we're a late eating family. But hey, brother, I just wanted to thank you, man, not only for
Hey,
just
no
coming
doubt.
on this platform, bro, and giving hope to, you know, um, my followers, bro. But man, thank you for what you're doing in them prisons, man. Like I said, my heart is still kind of in there, bro. And I know the struggle, I know the battles that people go through. And man, just having somebody like you, man, to give them some inspiration, some hope, and to believe
That's
in them,
right.
bro. That's what I get
That's
from
what's
you,
up.
bro, is that what you give these guys confidence, you know what I mean? That they're not losers, yeah, they made some mistakes in life, but you know what? People can change. I mean, you're
Absolutely.
an
Absolutely.
example of that. You're going in there, bro, and I mean, for the most part, you don't even have to preach to them, bro, because your
No,
example, you're an
absolutely.
epistle written on their hearts, bro. So just continue to
Absolutely.
fight the good fight of faith, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being that beacon of
That's right.
hope for them brothers, bro. Because that's what they need. And
That's
you
right.
kind of keep them fresh because you're coming from the outside, and that's the little bit of outside they have. You know,
That's right. That's right. Hey,
yeah,
I appreciate you, man. Let me say this, man. Just being on this, I salute you, brother. Being on this platform, not just because it's a platform, but because it's you, man. I don't know how I crossed paths with you. Like I said, I just found you on YouTube. And from that point, everything kept lining up. All the dots kept connecting until I finally hit you up on TikTok. But
yeah,
me being in there and hearing your story, man, I'm glad that I crossed paths with you in this lifetime, brother. I know that
man,
God has done some miraculous things in your life more than anything. Here I am coming out of the free world, man, and hearing your story of being a lifer in there. I needed that second win, man. And I told you it took me close to 3.5, 4 days to finish your whole. I kept rewinding your YouTube and hearing it over and over because your story connected with everything that I just needed to hear again, man, so that I could be there for the ALWAPs, right? Because what you were then when you got out are what the ALWAPs are today, man.
amen.
They're getting out slowly but surely,
Yeah,
resentenced and out. They're getting out a little bit more. But what you were then is what they are now. And
yeah.
your story helped me. So I thank you, man. from the bottom of my heart, man, with everything.
Likewise.
Gracias for who you are, brother. Straight up.
Likewise, brother. Likewise. And maybe one day when I go up there or you come down here, we'll break bread, bro. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for
Hey,
sure. Cause
gracias.
I got a good brother that's up there in Hanford, bro. He lives
Mhm.
up there. Good brother of mine's from down here in Ballin Park, and I go up there to go visit. So I'll make a little stop by there.
That's right. That's right. All right,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, appreciate you, brother. You have a good work week, man, and God bless you and all you do, brother. You stay safe and man, keep pushing, bro.
Amen. God bless you. You have a good
Amen.
night.
Amen. Amen. Before I tap out, I just want to tell if there's any new viewers, man, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe. Don't forget to share this. Send it to somebody that needs a word of hope. You know what I mean? Somebody that just, feels like there's no way of changing in their lives, man. Let them listen to this brother's story because, man, it's so powerful and it will definitely change someone's life. So, that being said, God bless you guys. We'll see you soon. You guys be blessed. Talk to you later, brother. God bless you.
Later.